Okay. You hear that? That is the sound of morning coffee, which I would not be sitting here without because a bitch is tired. Sick and tired. Not sick, literally though, thank God, please. Not knock on something because we don't want that. No, we don't want that over here. There's enough going on. There's enough going on as is, and I'm over it. But anyways, hello, welcome back to the Quingdom podcast. And if you read the title of this episode, then you know that shit is urgent. This is the one that you need to be listening to, especially if you have no idea who I am, which we will get into. But this is the one to listen to because urgent matters are at hand. There are a lot of things going on, a lot of things out of my control, a lot of things out of a lot of people's controls, and shit's hitting the fan. Shit is hitting the fan. Excuse my, chaotic energy this morning, but I have been up all night getting this shit together because I could not let another week go by without this episode coming out. I had to take the whole week just to even get it together along with the previous episode because hold on, let me rewind real quick. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, I put up a story where I let everyone know that I had got some devastating news and that the episode for that week was not coming out because I had literally just got the news the day before, and it was I only had that one day to record, and there was no way that I was recording because I had to talk about the news itself. So the episode that I originally had planned for last week, I spent the rest of the week both writing this episode and then reshaping that episode into what will be the next episode. Well, it'll make more sense when we get there. Well, we're not there yet. We're here now. Right now, we're here to talk about what we're here to talk about today. And what we're here to talk about today is the ATN, right? And you're probably thinking to yourself, what the hell is the ATN? Don't worry, we're going to get into all of that. But for those of you who are new here, let's get into the introductions real quick. Hello, I am Deontay. Pronouns she and D, yes. And I am a black, gay, gender non-conforming, multidisciplinary Capricorn from North Philadelphia. Yes, graduated from... Say that 5 times fast. But anyways, graduated from UArts class of 2021, where I majored in film production and minored in music business, entrepreneurship, and technology. With that being said, I am a dancer, cinematographer, photographer, songwriter, producer, graphic designer. I have experience in visual arts, cosmetics, modeling, and I am an SMRC, which we will also get to. With that being said, I am an artist who does a lot of things and therefore has a lot of interests. And that brings us here to the Quingdom podcast, where I share those interests of mine, primarily music, gaming, film, and TV, and give my commentary on what comes across my radar, while also giving insight into my own work and then opening a conversation up to y'all across the various platforms. Now that the intros are out of the way, the topic for today's episode, bottom line being the fact that my job security is on the line. Child, Trump is coming for us all, and it is hitting your girly. It's hitting me hard. But before we even get into my job, because you're probably thinking what in the hell? Because that's the thing. A lot of people don't know what I do outside of my content, right? A lot of people, some people know me for the music, some people know me from meet me in the club, shit like that. Some people just know me from school, whatever. A lot of people don't know about my actual job, and I realized that recently, as things have been kind of taking a turn, I kind of had the realization that I don't really talk about my job like that. I kind of keep the two worlds separate, if that makes sense. And I don't know if that's a detriment to me or I don't know how to feel about that. So I'm just kind of the fact that it has come to this point where I'm finally the fact that it had to get to this point, like, you know, like that doesn't sit right with me. Like that doesn't sit right with me, which is why I had to get this episode out as soon as I could. Like as soon as I had everything ready and together and able to get out, I had to get it out. So that's what we are doing today. But before we get into my job now, right? For the like, because now we're playing catch up. Like we're taking it back to episode 1 and we're playing catch up, right? But we're playing catch up on your girl. We're playing catch up on me, my professional history. For those of you who don't know, like, which would be everyone in my head, at least. In my head, it's like everyone, because it's like I don't talk about this shit. But anyways, we're going to start from the very beginning, right? We're going to start from 2015. In November of 2015, around the start of my junior year of high school, I was a model in this fashion show being hosted by a project within Philadelphia known as the CARS Project. Now, CARS stands for Community Approaches to Reducing Sexually Transmitted Diseases, right? And they aim to fight the rise of STI and HIV rates amongst teens within North Philadelphia between the ages of 14 to 19. During that time, they were, of course, recruiting more youth to join the project. And since I was already a model in the show, I was pretty much informed on the project and how things worked, et cetera, et cetera. And considering the fact that the demographic that they were targeting, like, you know, I was within that demographic, the cause hit home. It just made sense in my head, you know, to join. It was like a why not type thing. And within the CARS project, they had 3 committees: the social media committee, event planning, and advocacy. I was, of course, a part of all 3 of them, but I was more so an active member of the social media committee. That was like the most active committee, of course, because we're targeting teens. And my duties included creating and curating content for the project's social media pages. And these materials included stuff like flyers, promotional event videos, behind the scenes content, little educational memes for the youth, and marketing materials to promote CARS's events, right? For the event planning committee. Like everything kind of worked in tandem with each other. But yeah, I've remained a part of CARS until I eventually graduated in June of 2017. But during that time, in July of 2016, I became an SLB member, Student Leadership Board member for the Mazzoni Center. And in 2016, I aided the Mazzoni Center in planning for the LEAD Conference, which was an event for LGBT students to highlight their respective schools' GSAs, you know, the Gay Straight Alliances, and showcase what they've been doing for their communities, right? And during the conference, I facilitated a presentation on body positivity to about like 50 or so high school students. Like it was a lot of kids to me. Like, you know, I felt like an actual little teacher. I was like, "Oh, look at me," you know, da, 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 da. But yeah, it was cute. It was a cute little presentation. I still have it in like my Google Drive, like buried in there somewhere. It's still in there somewhere. But from that point forward, I served on their youth leadership board as a mentor for incoming members until I finally like aged out in 2021. But during that time, in what was it? July 2017, right? So this was right before starting my freshman year at UR. It's like right before starting college, right? I participated in this work ready program at the Attic Youth Center, which was an 8-week business development experience, right? Designed to build skills for developing businesses from the ground up. So our duties consisted of creating a brand, using a branded domain, marketing materials, video production, and implementing social media business analytic tools, right, to assess and reach target audiences. And of course, this program like really allowed me to gain experience in business operations and just like marketing overall. But like I said, that was just the 8-week program that ended in August of 2017. So what was it? Fast forward to October 2017, right? So during my freshman year, I became a dancer for All Around Entertainment. Now, AAE is an entertainment booking company, right? And like I said, I worked as a dancer, so my duties, of course, consisted of dancing. But I was specifically dancing for parties of a bunch of kids. And when I say a bunch, I literally mean a bunch. I'm talking 150 to 200 attendees, right? And these were kids primarily consisting of like youth 15 and younger, because it was primarily like bar and bat mitzvahs. And I don't know if I'm saying that word right, but yeah, it wasn't just about dancing. Our duties included assessing industry trends, right? Which meant we had to keep up with all of the latest dances, whatever the newest. I don't even know if TikTok was really a thing at that time, but like whatever the new trending thing was, I remember like the whip nene. This was like the what would you call it? Not the start of that era. It was around that time. I don't know, child. It was a long time ago, but yeah, we were expected to keep up with stuff like that, and also collaborate with the other dancers, to create different routines, little performances, and things like that, along with assisting the MC or the host or whichever guest that we were assigned to. Like, yes, certain dancers would get specifically assigned to a certain guest. It was wild. But yeah, I was a dancer for them until about December of 2018. Then the following year, in October of 2019, I started working on campus at the start of my junior year as a campus life programming assistant, right? So, as a programming assistant, my role was to help plan, organize, and facilitate different events that were taking place on campus. However, like I said, this was October of 2019. So, once COVID rolled around in March of 2020, the role kind of had to shift and transition, right? They had to make the role now a virtual one. So we went from campus life programming assistants to just general programming assistants, right? So at that point, my responsibilities became to help plan and facilitate UArts' weekly virtual game nights. And I did that until I graduated in 2021. But during that time, rewind a bit, during that time, right, literally a month after I started working on campus, in November of 2019, I became a social media manager for this natural nail care brand known as Woomy Beauty, right? So my duties consisted of creating and managing the brand's Instagram and Facebook pages. I worked closely with the founder to develop content plans and advertising strategies for more effective implementation. The content, of course, included product advertisements, nail care tips, little video tutorials, and customer testimonials. So, yeah, I did that from November 2019 until May of 2021, like when I graduated. I stopped doing both when I graduated. But also during that time, right? So, campus life in October, then the nail care brand in November. Then in December of 2019, I joined Advocates for Youth as a youth resource. Yes. So, Youth Resource is a youth leadership program designed by and for gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and questioning young people of color. So, LGBTQ youth will apply to the program, and if successful, they attend a 5-day intensive training institute to help them hone their advocacy and mobilization skills. So, Youth Resource members then work throughout the year to advocate for improvements in policies and practices that impact LGBTQ youth of color. Now, youth resource members also contribute to My Story Out Loud, which is a digital storytelling campaign dedicated to uplifting the narratives of LGBTQ youth of color across the nation. So yeah, the end of 2019, going into 2020, like all throughout that year, that was a pretty busy year for me, despite, the pandemic and everything that was going on. Like, I was working in 2019, all of which eventually cultivated in December of 2020 with me becoming the recipient of the Dell S. Grundy Youth Award, right? During the Red Ribbon Awards. And I'm just going to quote the award itself for this one because it's like, what better words than the award? What would you call them? The awardees? No, I am the awardee, right? Because I received the award. The awarders. Is that a word? Awarders? Whatever. But according to the awarders, But yeah, the award says Deontay's drive for academic excellence while also being a leader in advocating for gender nonconforming youth health and equity makes them an ideal recipient of the Dale S. Grundy Youth Award. Deontay has consistently demonstrated ambition and maturity in and out of the Y cab, as well as being a great role model for their peers. They are a sole youth representative from Philadelphia for the larger iTech Youth Advisory Committee, paving the way for others like them. Deontay's ambitious nature, friendly attitude, and affinity to lead others will guide them into being a true advocate for the community. I said, oh, I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, essentially all the work that I had been doing up to that point, all of the various advisory boards and whatnot that I served on, led to the culmination of me receiving that award. And I was like, it felt good to be recognized for that stuff, you know? But flash forward to 2021, that's when I became a research consultant for UNC at Chapel Hill for their BAT lab. Now, the Behavior and Technology Lab, BAT lab at UNC, facilitates health behavior change through technology-based research on all aspects of sexual health, including factors that impact the acquisition, transmission, and treatment of HIV and other sexually transmitted diseases. Now, as a research consultant, my duties consisted of providing creative insight and feedback to the researchers and healthcare professionals for various projects. And these projects included studies, surveys, infographics, etc., primarily geared towards LGBTQIA youth and young adults. Now, a few months later, in October of 2021, that's when I started working for Live Nation as an usher, greeter, and ticket taker, right? So as an usher, greeter, and ticket taker, like it was all one title. But I engaged with guests to assist with their needs before, during, and after the shows, while also ensuring safety and maintaining cleanliness of the venue. Yes, they had us cleaning up the damn seats after the shows, which I felt as though was not in my job description, but it was. Anyways, other than that, my duties included scanning guest tickets, of course, upon entry to the venue, answering any questions that they may have had, assisting them with locating their seats, and resolving any other complaints or issues that the guests may have had. Now, in February of 2023, right, the research consultants, we made a transition from UNC to FSU, Florida State University, where our role then transitioned and became what is now known as the Subject Matter Research Consultants, the SMRCs. But that brings us to today. Ciao. Today. More specifically, let's say, because it is now April. So, a couple months ago, February 7th of 2025, the Trump administration announced that it was cutting $4 billion in funding for medical research at universities, hospitals, and other scientific institutions. And guess who I work for? A university, specifically a scientific institution within a university, right? So this, of course, means that my role is on the line due to more cuts by Trump's new administration, since my position largely relies on grant funding. Now, to fully get into where the SMRCs fall within all of this, we have to break down our main points of interest, right? Starting with let's say the top of the umbrella, right? The IDHI, the Institute on Digital Health and Innovation at Florida State University, right? Whose mission, according to their website, is to advance individual and public health through collaborative and synergistic partnerships focused on the development, evaluation, and dissemination of digital health tools, technologies, and innovations. Now, the IDHI has many active projects, but the one that my role specifically falls under is the ATN, the Adolescent Medicine Trials Network for HIV Interventions, ATN, founded in 2001, is a nationwide network of clinical trials focused on supporting the sexual health of U.S. adolescents and young adults. Now, according to IDHI's site, the ATN is the only HIV network exclusively focused on adolescents and young adults in the United States. The ATN is comprised of the nation's experts in HIV research from over 40 institutions, including universities, healthcare providers, and community organizations. And they conduct various research studies relative to HIV and STI prevention and care for young people between 13 and 29 years old. The ATN's mission is to improve the quality of life and health of adolescents and young adults through transformative research, education, and advocacy. The ATN's research aims to increase awareness of HIV status amongst youth, improve the health and well-being of young people living with HIV, and prevent new HIV transmissions. Now, IDHI serves as the SLC, the Scientific Leadership and Collaboration Center, right? And the SLC brings all elements of the network together and ensures that they function collaboratively, effectively, and efficiently with the Operations and Collaborations Center, OCC, NIH, and the overall network. A large portion of the ATN is funded by grants from NIH. Now, let's get into them. The National Institute of Health. Now, according to their website, the NIH is the largest public funder of biomedical research in the world, and their mission is to seek fundamental knowledge about the nature and behavior of living systems and the application of that knowledge to enhance health, lengthen life, and reduce illness and disability. NIH provides financial assistance for projects that advance this mission in a variety of broad research and research-related funding categories, right? So this brings us to OPRA, the Office of Policy for Extramural Research Administration, or OPRA, is responsible for things such as NIH's extramural policies and procedures, grant compliance and oversight, and financial conflicts of interest. So now that we've gotten to opera, that brings us to the woman of the hour, Miss Michelle G. Bowles, the director of NIH's opera since November 4th of 2012. Now, according to NIH's site, as opera director, Ms. Bowles provides NIH direction regarding grants policy and compliance monitoring for the grants management offices of the 24 NIH institutes and centers that support extramural research. So this means that she also oversees the Project Clearance Branch, which is the NIH control point for the Office of Management and Budget Clearance functions concerning public information collection activities. Now, she also oversees the Division of Grants Policy, the DGP, right, which develops, executes, and interprets NIH policies for administering financial assistance, meaning grants and cooperative agreements, for the extramural research community. The DGP also provides policy guidance for NIH extramural staff, which provides leadership and support to address emerging issues and standardize grants administration practices within the NIH. In short, this essentially means that she is in charge of making sure that the grants get spent on what they're supposed to get spent on, right? She's making sure that the money is going towards the things that it's supposed to go towards. Okay? Does that make more sense? I feel like I could have said that from the beginning, but you know, whatever. Y'all had to get the full picture. Y'all had to get what they say her job is. Now, this brings us to Friday, March 21st, when Michelle Bowles from NIH sent out a termination notice for the grants funding the ATN. And the termination letter essentially says that NIH is permitted to terminate the grant if, and quote, an award no longer effectuates the program goals or agency priorities. So Michelle Bowles is essentially claiming that according to NIH's new 2025 policy, the ATN no longer effectuates agency priorities. And the letter specifically says, it cites research programs based primarily on artificial and non-scientific categories, including amorphous equity objectives. And she claims that they are anti-ethical to the scientific inquiry and do nothing to expand our knowledge of living systems, and provide low returns on investment, and ultimately do not enhance health, lengthen life, or reduce illness. Worse, so she says, So-called diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) studies are often used to support unlawful discrimination on the basis of race and other protected characteristics, which harms the health of Americans. Therefore, it is the policy of NIH not to prioritize such research programs. Child, imagine my surprise when I Googled this chick and found out it was a black woman. I was gagged. I said, girl, really? Really? Wow. Wow. Okay. Now, FSU is currently appealing this decision, but according to Lisa Hightower, founding director of IDHI, this constitutes about 75% of our funding, or at least as of, what was this? March, as of March the 21st, things may have changed and improved since then. But as of right now, this constitutes about 75% of our funding after having already lost about 10% of it due to earlier terminations. So as it stands, if cuts need to be made by FSU due to these newfound budgetary restrictions, it's likely that the SMRC will be among the first to go in terms of the ATN overall. At least that's how things are looking right now. Now, as an SMRC myself, and have been since February 2022, let me break down to you how this termination is absolute bullshit, for real. And I'm going to do so by going through the different ATN research studies and groups that I personally have contributed to and can therefore attest to their very non-artificial scientific inquiry and enhancements to health. Okay, this lady. Reading through that damn termination letter, I said, are you serious? Are you serious? Okay, but before we get into the studies, right, quick refresher on PrEP versus PEP, because they'll both come up a lot. I know there are a lot of people who are not informed on these things, so we're going to refresh your memory on that real quick. Now, PrEP, or pre-exposure prophylaxis, is a pill or a shot that can prevent HIV, whereas PEP, doxycycline, is an antibiotic that, when taken after sex, post-exposure prophylaxis, or PEP, can prevent gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis. But now that health class is out of the way, let's get into my contributions within the ATN, starting with my role, the SMRCs, the Subject Matter Research Consultants. We are part-time employees who provide consultation on research study development, implementation, and relevant social media trends. Our areas of expertise include study design and implementation, which consists of reviewing and providing feedback on study design and study materials, including surveys, instructional documents, health information, or other tools, and assisting with internal testing and monitoring intervention apps for bugs and issues and things like that. These areas of expertise also include content creation, such as providing enhancement ideas for interventions utilizing apps, creating audio, visual, and written content for app interventions, guiding strategy for recruitment for study participants, including how to leverage social media platforms to reach the intended audience, as well as the development of language and imagery for different advertisements and things like that. We also provide data analysis and dissemination, such as reviewing and helping design qualitative interview guides, assisting with data analysis such as coding qualitative interviews, supporting dissemination efforts of research findings by serving as co-authors on publications, and as graphic designers and videographers, creating contents for lay audiences. I am also a part of the Communication and Dissemination Hub, or CD Hub, which promotes dissemination and implementation of research discoveries for maximum public health impact. This includes translation into clinical and community practice guidelines and policy recommendations. Additionally, the CD Hub also creates internal communication resources, content for social media recruitment, and develops participant-facing materials. But now we're going to get into the studies themselves, and we're going to go in order because each ATN study has a number associated with it. So we're going to start with ATN 164, Screen to Prevent, S2P. And the Screen to Prevent study aims to increase HIV screening rates among youth and pediatric EDs and determine which of the three distinct screening strategies that they use is the most effective. The first of which being universal opt-in, where participants will be asked if they want an HIV testing. Then there's universal opt-out, where participants will be asked if they do not want HIV testing. And then focused, where participants who indicate behaviors like condomless sex or substance use will be offered HIV testing. Now, for Screen to Prevent, the role that I had, I designed their logo. I designed the logo, like aside from providing consultation for the study itself and whatnot, going through the materials and all that. I designed the logo that you currently see with the S2P with the red 2 and the little magnifying glass over the S and the P in the middle. Like I kind of snapped with that one. Like looking back at it as I'm like looking through all of the different logos. That's the thing. For a lot of these studies, I designed the logos for them. So S2P, this is just the first one that we'll be mentioning. But yeah, like back when I was saying earlier about the like untapped potential of like all the things that I could have been talking about, like, I could have been advertising my like logo design and just like my graphic design work in general. Could have been advertising that this whole time. Could have been utilizing LinkedIn and all that type shit. Like it's really a lot. It had a big light bulb moment within the past couple weeks. But anyways, we're gonna move on. Moving on to ATN 165, linking youth to PrEP services, also known as LIPS. Now, the LIPS study aims to improve PrEP use among young transgender women and gay, bisexual, and other sexual minority men. The LIPS intervention combines the youth of a community health provider to deliver PrEP services at a location of the participant's choosing, with a smartphone-based app to provide PrEP use between services. And the study will test whether or not this way of getting PrEP helps more young people take their PrEP successfully and improve their sexual health and reduce their likelihood for HIV. Next up, we have ATN 166, combating HIV or other STIs early, aka CHOOSE. And CHOOSE will examine how a package of mobile health tools can help young cis sexual minority men learn about taking DoxyPEP in addition to PrEP. Now, the CHOOSE study is asking two questions. A, does a package of mobile health tools help young sexual minority men to choose which type of PrEP to take and take it as recommended? And B, when offered this word always trips me up. Doxycycline. There we go. When offered doxycycline PEP, who will take it and will they take it as recommended? Now, CHOOSE is another study that I had the opportunity of designing the logo for. Yes, the little blue and yellow arrow number that you see before you was designed by moi. But next up, we have ATN 167. Legal, Economic, and Affirming Peer Support for Trans Youth, also known as LEAP. Now, LEAP is the study that I was working the closest with. Like, I met with LEAP regularly, like, what was it, like bi-weekly, every month. It was on a regular basis, and LEAP was told to discontinue as of January 25th. So, immediately, like, that was when I kind of knew things were taking a turn, like once LEAP got told to stop. But anyways, moving on to LEAP and their mission. LEAP aimed to partner with youth, national gender diverse-led organizations, and local community organizations to meet the most pressing needs of gender diverse youth of color. And the LEAP program would have included direct links to lawyers to address health-harming legal needs, such as legal name change, advanced planning, landlord-tenant disputes, and discrimination in the workplace and or school. The program also would have provided microeconomic strategies with $200 to help with immediate needs of economic assistance, a $800 unconditional contribution to support long-term goals, along with mentoring and group workshops. Along with the workshops, there would also be gender-affirming individual peer support sessions focused on both professional goals and participants' overall health and well-being. But next up, we have ATN 168, which is HIV and Pregnancy Prevention for Youth, also known as HAPPY. Now, thankfully, HAPPY is currently active, an ongoing study, and they are examining the values and preferences for a long-acting multi-purpose prevention product that would prevent HIV and pregnancy in cisgender women, transgender men, and gender diverse individuals assigned female at birth. Now, long-acting products may have had an advantage over the other products because they are convenient, discreet, and don't require daily use to be effective. And incorporating end-user preferences for prevention products ensures that the product will be acceptable to users and therefore more likely that they will use the product in the future. And few studies to date in the USA have evaluated the end-user preferences for multi-use products. So HAPPY is aiming to change that, particularly amongst adolescents and also in trans or non-binary individuals. HAPPY is another study that I had the privilege of designing the logo for. Yes, the blue and yellow circle logo that you see before you, that was designed by me. But this next study, ATN 170, I did design a logo for, but they did not go with my design. And in my opinion, my design was better, but whatever. This is another ongoing active study. Whoop, whoop, another victory lap. But yes, Impact, ATN 170. Now, Project Impact is a program that combines HIV sexual health counseling with behavioral activation therapy, which is an evidence-based, easy-to-administer cognitive behavioral approach to treat depression that focuses on helping individuals re-engage in activities that generate feelings of enjoyment. Now, this reduces HIV acquisition and transmission likelihood in cisgender YSMM, which is young sexual minority men, regardless of HIV status, who use stimulants in the context of sex. Additionally, this project will examine best practices for implementing the program, for whom the program works best, and how to best disseminate the program if successful. Now, for the last study, ATN 173, for which I started designing the logo, like I designed initial drafts for it, but the final logo design is not mine. Like I did not design the fox. But Foxy Doxy, this is one with a really long name, so bear with me. But Foxy Doxy's full study name, doxycycline prophylaxis for prevention of sexually transmitted infections amongst adolescent and young people who were assigned female at birth in the United States. Yes. I don't know how that translates to Foxy Doxy, but that is the name. But anyways, Foxy Doxy is testing the effectiveness of DoxyPep for reducing STI rates for cis women, trans men, and non-binary folks who were assigned female at birth. Now, doxycycline post-exposure prophylaxis, or DoxyPep, is an antibiotic medication taken after sex to prevent bacterial sexually transmitted infections like syphilis, chlamydia, and gonorrhea. And it can be thought of as a morning after pill for STIs, essentially. But yes, that concludes all of the studies that I have had a hand in. And I highlight all of this to emphasize the fact that Miss Bulls, her claims are both ridiculous and they are rooted in discriminatory bias, okay? Has she taken the time to actually research the work that these studies are actually doing rather than relying on false narratives perpetuated by ongoing right-wing rhetoric? Then she might have had a more informed perspective, With all of that being said, I am technically still employed because I am still an employee of FSU, but I am currently restricted from clocking any hours due to these new budgetary reevaluations and whatnot. So as of right now, that means that my content has essentially become my full-time job as I continue searching for a new one, at least until my search is successful, and then, my schedule will change accordingly. But however, losing my job will mean losing my only source of income currently, and also means losing access to the software that I currently use to make my content as efficiently as I do. Therefore, leaving me to have to come out of pocket for all of those different subscription costs and shit like that. And, child, I already have to come out of pocket for enough shit as is. So having to pay for shit like Canva and Adobe and all that, in addition to, the DistroKid and Wix and et cetera, everything else that I use to run everything, it would be a lot. So if you're wondering how you can support me, well, so glad you asked, because that brings us to the final segment of today's episode, the announcement of the Quingdom Patreon. Yes, for those looking to support me through these struggling times, you can do so by becoming a member of my new Patreon, which will serve as an all-in-one hub for all of my content, including exclusives for the paid members. And this is the best way for those who are looking to get deeper dives into my content, get to see what I do behind the scenes, get little looks into my creative processes. This is the platform for you. Now, let's get into the fun part, the tiers. You're probably wondering, what do you get with each tier? Well, starting with the free folks, right? Because it is free to follow the page. For all the members that simply follow, you get all of my content in one dashboard, essentially. For those that may follow me on YouTube or follow me on Twitch and follow me on Spotify, etc., etc. You get everything all in one place so that you know where to find everything. But you also will get an invitation to my Discord server, which we will also get to. We will get to the Discord. But yes, and in addition to that, you will be able to get access to all of the posts that I make on Patreon exclusively for my members, right? Because we have that option to either make things public or make it just for the members. But moving on to the first actual tier, we have my bronze buddies. Yes, the $1 tier. This is the starter tier, quote unquote, for those who simply just want to show support, just give a little doll hair. You get to not only vote in exclusive polls that shape the outcomes of my future projects, but you also gain access to my entire YouTube back catalog. Yes, a full collection of videos that I have unlisted from my channel over the years for various reasons, rebranding, copyright claims, just straight up pure cringe, etc., etc. My bronze buddies get to bear witness to the beginnings of me as a content creator. They get to go and see it all. It literally took me so much time, going through all of my content and backdating everything, getting everything in order. It really is a time capsule of Deontay, for real. But in addition to that, the bronze buddies also get a Discord role. Yes, y'all will get y'all little. Each tier has their respective Discord role. So for the bronze buddies that join the Discord server, for all of the roles that join the Discord server, you will have different colors that match your respective tier. So people know where you fall within the Quingdom. So first tier, that's 3 perks: voting polls for future projects, access to my YouTube back catalog, and then the Bronze Buddies Discord role. But next up, we have the next tier, my Silver Sisters. Yes, this is the $3 tier. Upgrade that bronze to silver with this next tier, where my Silver Sisters get a more behind the scenes look into my creative process, right? So my Silver Sisters gain access to sneak previews of upcoming tracks of mine before they hit public ears. And in addition to that, you also get front row seats to live editing sessions where I work on little minor graphic design projects, photo editing projects, etc., etc. And you, of course, get all of this in addition to all of the perks from the previous tier. So in total, my Silver Sisters get sneak previews of upcoming tracks, live graphic design and photo editing sessions, voting polls for future projects, access to my YouTube back catalog, and then the Silver Sisters Discord role. Next up, we have our Golden Girlies. Yes, this is the $5 tier. This tier essentially acts as your all access pass to the Quingdom, right? So you get everything from the previous tiers plus even more. For the music lovers, in addition to the sneak previews, you'll also be able to hear exclusive demo tracks of mine where your feedback could help shape their future release if they do get released. You know, that's kind of where y'all come in. And in addition, you'll be able to join me for more personal live streams and watch as I edit and produce more exclusive projects, you know, like new music, YouTube videos, podcast episodes, social media content, etc., etc. So the Golden Girlies can essentially watch these things get made, specifically the new music. Y'all can be in the booth for those sessions before the songs ever even come out. You can hear the shit that never comes out, the shit that ends up just staying in my drives. You get to hear all of that. But speaking of live streams, for my more spiritual girlies, I'll also be doing live tarot readings where I pull cards for commenters in the audience. So feel free to DM me for a private reading, you know, if you want to just book a reading one-on-one, me and you. Or you can consider upgrading to the next tier and becoming a Diamond Darling to redeem free monthly readings, which we will get to. But if you don't know where to start in terms of my tarot readings and whatnot, you can go down and find all of the spreads and things that I do, all the information regarding that in the description. But lastly, for everyone that's always asking about the looks, you will gain access to up close and personal Get Ready With Me live makeup sessions as I try out different looks on myself and others for various occasions. For those that are always asking for the different makeup tutorials and the shit like that, like this is that tier. This is where you will get that. This will also be a good time to come back to the Discord, right? Because like I say, each tier gets a Discord role, and each of those roles comes with different permissions. So for the exclusive live streams, if you are within a tier that has access to that live stream, then you will be able to join that room, right? Whereas though for the other members, y'all won't even be able to see those rooms. So for example, for the Get Ready With Me, there is a separate voice channel for that. For the recording booth, there's a separate channel for that, you know, for when I'm recording my music and whatnot. There is a editing bay for when I'm editing videos. Like there are just certain channels that are for everyone, and then there are certain channels that are just for certain members. I'm more so going to be doing these live streams on Discord rather than on Patreon itself because one, I'm just more familiar with how Discord works and whatnot. I'm still new to Patreon. And two, I know that majority of people are like already on Discord, so it just like it makes sense to just do them where people already are, if that makes sense, rather than have people come to a separate link, you know, like that way if people want to pop in, pop out, like they can, etc., etc. But in conclusion, in total, my Golden Girlies get exclusive demo tracks, live music production and video editing sessions, live tarot readings, Get Ready With Me live makeup sessions, in addition to the sneak previews of upcoming tracks, live graphic design and photo editing sessions, voting polls for future content, and access to my YouTube back catalog, along with the Golden Girlies Discord role. Last, but certainly not least, because it is the most expensive tier, we have my Diamond Darlings, and this is the tier for those like the big spenders, the high rollers, the ones that really want to chuck some money at me. They're like, here you go, girl, chase your dreams. You know, this is for those members, the ones that really want to show that extra support. In addition to everything from the previous tiers, my Diamond Darlings can message me on Discord every month for a free tarot reading. Yes. And they also gain exclusive access to music downloads, including my already released tracks that are currently available in the shop to purchase for everyone else, select demos for future songs, and new singles of, you know, actual songs that I decide to drop. So you will get to get those songs for free before they even hit, you know, Spotify and Apple Music and streaming in general. Last but not least, anyone that actually does subscribe to the Diamond Darlings tier, they will get a personal shout out from me during the outros of every Quingdom podcast episode. Like for all of the ones that actually invest in me like that is deserved of a personal shout out from me to you on every episode. So, in conclusion, my Diamond Darlings, they get podcast shout out, free tarot readings, access to downloadable tracks, in addition to the exclusive demo tracks, the Get Ready With Me live sessions, the live graphic design and photo editing sessions, the live music production and video editing sessions, the sneak previews of upcoming tracks, the voting polls for future projects, access to my entire YouTube back catalog, and, of course, the Diamond Darlings Discord role. Now, only those that actually listen to this episode will know this, but each of the Discord roles, like each of them has like varying levels of permissions, right? Because it's just me managing the server. I'm only one person. Ain't no other admin over here just yet. But with that being said, like to kind of keep things moderated, I have the free or slash like non-members, just to like to anybody, like anyone can join the server and talk or whatever, but in terms of like the more specific permissions and shit like that, they get more increased as the tiers go up. Also, like for those who may not know, like Patreon literally has a bot that kind of like manages the, what do you call them, the roles in succinct with the tiers, right? Like it makes sure that each member gets the role that they're supposed to get, but it doesn't do that for the free folks, like the ones who literally just follow my Patreon. Like it doesn't give them their role automatically, so that I'll be doing myself. So if you just follow the page and then you join the Discord and like I see that you are a follower, right, then I will be personally giving you the free folks Discord role. Yes, there is a separate role for free folks. Like just so that I know, just so I can like differentiate those who follow me versus those who may be in the server who just kind of pop in from anywhere. It's so that I know who's coming from where, keep track of my audience, And I have it set up that way because yes, I want the server to kind of like serve as a place for my fans, quote unquote, to cultivate and whatnot, keep up with me and my content. But I also want the conversation to expand, like the things that I talk about on the podcast, the different movies and games and music. Like I want folks who listen to the podcast, et cetera, folks who may just want to be a part of the conversation. They may not listen to me at all, have no clue what everyone else, what all the members are talking about in terms of like, me specifically, but they are still part of the pop culture conversation. Like that's the goal. I really want to build the Quingdom, make it more than just me, make it an actual community, like an actual royal Quingdom. Y'all get the vision? Are y'all getting the vision? So with that being said, like feel free to share the Discord, like invite link with your friends and things like that. They just won't have they just won't have a role. They just won't have a role unless they follow me. That's just kind of how that works. But with that being said, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Yes, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this in the previous episodes, but I usually edit these as I'm recording. Like I usually edit the background music and my little ads and everything. Like I literally edit it as I'm recording so that I don't have to come back and do it. It saves time. But for this one, I was just like, like today has been enough of a day. It has been enough of a struggle just trying to record this episode alone. So I said, I'm just going to leave the damn music and all that shit alone. And that will just be part of the differentiation. I'm pretty sure that's how you say that. Differentiation. I hope that's a word. But anyways, that'll just be what sets this episode apart from the others, because I really wanted to be known that this is no regular episode. This is outside of the normal format. This is outside of what we normally do here. But there are important matters at hand that needed to be discussed. And I'm glad to have finally discussed them and gotten them out into the ether. Like, because that's the other thing. Like, this has been a really personal episode, right? Like, I don't really talk about my life like that, but that's also part of the point of this podcast for me to do that. So I don't know why we're just now like what episode 4, we're getting into the deep shit, but here we are, folks. This started to be episode 3.5, to be honest, not gonna lie. I started to call it 3.5, but I don't know. I still might just have this be listed as a bonus. Yeah, no, I have made the executive decision. I have made the executive decision that this will be listed as a bonus episode. As for the numbering and all that, I guess I'll have to see how that works when I get there. But anyways, on to the takeaways. Takeaways being my job security is on the line here, right? So for those looking to support me so that I can continue to make this content and continue to make it at the quality and whatnot that I do now, and shit, improve the quality, consider becoming a supporter and subscribing to me on Patreon. Become one of my Patreon members. Become one of my bronze buddies or silver sisters, or one of my golden girlies, or if you really got it like that, one of my diamond darlings. Yes. I just those names. Literally, okay. So can we get into it? Can we get into it? Literally this whole week, aside from getting the research and all the information together for the ATN stuff, like everything for the podcast, aside from writing the podcast episode, I have, of course, been building both the Discord server and the Patreon. And the Discord server, that was a little bit easier because, like I said earlier, I'm more familiar with how Discord works than Patreon. So, like, Patreon was more of a learning curve, still learning through that. So as people subscribe and things like that, like as I get more members, that's how I'll be able to get more familiar with how things work. Like that's kind of how this works here. Y'all gotta work with me. Y'all gotta work with me to make things work. But anyways, yeah. I'm so tired, yo. It's been such a long ass day. But other than that, in terms of my other channels, for the gamers, make sure that you go and follow the Quingdom Gaming on YouTube for the gameplay videos, and on Twitch for the live streams so that you get them up. What do you call them? The notifications. Yeah, so you get notified when I go live. And I do have Twitch drops enabled on my streams for the games that are doing campaigns and things like that. So whenever Rivals and Overwatch, Mortal Kombat, like whenever they do drops and I stream them and you watch the stream, you get those drops. And so do I. I realized that too. The like last time that I was streaming, I was like, oh shit, like I get credit for this too. So definitely gonna be streaming more so I can get them drops too. But anyways, aside from the gaming channel, of course, there's also my music. Like let's not forget that I am an artist. I feel like I have to like make that distinction, like that clarification that I'm not just a quote unquote like content creator. Like I am an artist first. I make music. That's what I do in my free time, aside from all the other shit. All the other shit is just me kind of doing something with my other interests, like aside from just making music. But all of my music is available on all streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, etc., etc. The links to all of that is also down in the description below. My audience question for y'all is: has Trump's new administration impacted you in any way? Whether that be like literally, metaphorically, mentally, physically, etc., etc. Have you been impacted by this man in any way? I'm curious to know. I'm like, my world can't be the only one shaken up by this shit, and I know it's affecting a whole bunch of other people, so I want to know if it's affecting any of my listeners specifically. But with that being said, I will catch y'all on the next one, and we'll read off any comments that are left because we gonna get into this tea. We gonna get into it. With that being said, I will catch y'all in the next one, and thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting. Wink, wink. Oh, wait, almost forgot. Can't forget this part. Scheduling, right? Because I mentioned that earlier, like changes in scheduling as things arise. Da 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 da. Like I have made the executive decision to switch to a bi-weekly format for the podcast rather than weekly, to give myself more time, essentially, like to give myself more time to get it together, to do my research on things, etc., which I wanted to do the weekly format for the sake of being able to get on things as they happen, but it's like things be happening too quick and it'd be a lot of things happening at once. So it's just kind of like, oof. For the sake of consolidating, I'm like, let me just give myself 2 weeks and then touch on what is worth touching on within those 2 weeks. But yeah, there we go. That's the actual end. All right, boom, I'm done. I'm getting off this mic. Bye.